From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. It is Monday and it is raining here in LA. So, it's one of them days. So, it's a good day to get all bundled up, cuddled up, and whatever you want to do. You freaky people, but I'm here to talk sports. So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But all good, all good. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's get into what happened this weekend. The Astros win their second World Series. And can this become a dynasty, or is this it? From what I'm seeing, it seems like nobody in the American League is going to be better than them next season either, because they'll probably add on more players as is. And then, they might have some guys drop off and go somewhere else, i.e. George Springer, Carlos Correa, guys that were a part of the original nucleus that had the Astros going in the fashion that they were going. Now they have graduated to Pena and Vasquez, who they traded for, Yordan Alvarez, big time, all that good stuff. So the Astros, man, they get their second title. And it just was amazing to see them do that, because they did it for the city of Houston. They won in Houston. First time around, they won in LA, which was very, LA folks are still mad about that situation as well too. Feeling like there was some cheating going on there. But as I always said, the Dodgers had Game 7. They had plenty of opportunities to win that game that day, and they did not. So they can't keep using that reference point as a way to discredit the Astros' first championship. But the second championship, well-deserved, well-earned, and they went through a lot of different obstacles. They went through a very good Mariners team that was one of the hotter teams going into the playoffs, a team that had actually been giving them some fits there at the end part of the season as well too, and they were a division opponent as well. So, the Dodgers were not as lucky when they had to go against the Padres, a team that they absolutely dominated, and they wound up getting put out in the divisional. Now, Houston had the same scenario, and they wound up beating the Mariners. And I felt like the Mariners were a better team than the Padres were, and the record shows that as well too. And then they go to New York, and everybody had the Yankees picked because, Aaron Judge just had a great season. He just wound up hitting 62 home runs. He broke one of the most cherished records in all of baseball. Roger Maris is 61, because that's the American League crown, because we know that Barry hit 73 for the National League, but they always use the 61 as the benchmark of what to hit, because they feel that Barry, Mark, Sammy, those weren't earned the good old-fashioned way. You know what I mean? So you got those elements in place, but the Astros did not care. They went up there and they swept them. Of all things, they swept them. You know what I mean? Or is it 4-1, whatever. They beat them. You know what I mean? And then they're undefeated in the playoffs, and they draw the hottest team coming into the playoffs, the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Philadelphia Phillies, what do they do the first night? They come back from a 5-run deficit. Now everybody's already signing off on the Astros. They're saying, oh, it's the Braves all over again. It's the Nats all over again. No, that didn't happen. What happened was that the Astros picked up where they left off the night before and got better pitching and won 5-1. They came back around and they had a bad night, Game 3. and wound up giving up 5 home runs. What would go on next is this. This team would wind up only giving up in the next few games. They only gave up 3 runs. Okay? In games 4, 5, and 6. They gave up a total of 3 runs. And that included a no-hitter. And that included only giving up 1 run in the closeout as well, too. They did have a tough game 5, which was critical for them, and it literally went ahead and boosted them in this series. And I think that they literally won the series in game 5 with that. When they had to get down to the grinder game, they grinded it out and they won. So this one is a very well-deserved title because all in all, the Astros, other than the Dodgers having the most wins in the season, 111, nobody was more consistent than the Astros. The Dodgers were really good, but you had your worries about the Dodgers. You never had worries about the Astros. That was the biggest difference. And we know that they would have made an epic World Series if it was Dodgers, Astros, because how they can sell that World Series. But the Astros actually lucked up by not having the Dodgers there because they got to have the spotlight, and ain't nobody going to be worried about Philadelphia getting cheated because they're going to always feel like they got cheated anyway. So, I think that people need to get over it, and we need to move on and stop giving baseball a black eye because there's worse things going on in other sports. Seriously. All right, so congratulations to the World Series champs, the Houston Astros, for the second time in the last 5 years. They go ahead and hoist up that trophy. Well, I can't wait. Catchers and pitchers report back in February. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I'll be able. I'm thinking about taking part in spring training this year as well too. For a couple teams, the Dodgers, the Rangers, the Angels. You know what I mean? Because they're all by each other out there, so it should be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's all in all for this weekend in baseball, and that's a wrap on a great season this season. And I can't wait for baseball to come back around in the next few months because, as I said, all year long, baseball has been the sport that I've enjoyed the most because the parity involved in it and just how great the game is, man. I know it's boring to a lot of you people that need to have people physically running up and down the court or people hitting each other and grabbing on each other and doing the most. But good old baseball, a mind game, a game that you had to play with your head in 80% of the time. So you gotta love it, and I look forward to it being back in the next few months. Now, let's go ahead and jump into college football this weekend. And down goes Alabama. LSU beats the Tide 32-31, and will this knock them out the CFP contention? Let's keep it real. It is. But I still think that they're going to figure out a way for Alabama to be very close. You know what I mean? I think that when you put things together, you have an Alabama team that I told you guys at the first of the year wasn't going to make the CFP. They're going to lose 2 games this year. People said I was crazy because they said this team might be better than the team from last year. Every time I hear them say that about Alabama, it doesn't go well for Alabama. You know what I mean? Alabama is a team that we've came to notice over the last few years. They're not going to go back to back as the national champion, but they're still going to be dominant, and they're still going to give that dominant look. But this year, I never felt like they were that dominant of a team. When they played Texas, I said to myself, this is not your normal Bama squad. They're having little issues here in the receiver position. The running backs are kind of above average this year. They're not, superstar Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram types. Then the defense was a little plagued this year because some freshmen that they had who were gonna be big contributors actually got hurt in spring training and summer and things like that. So they got a red shirt or kind of just wait their turn. And I think that they're not a bad team this season, but Alabama, people aren't scared anymore. You know what I mean? It's like when after Mike Tyson fought Buster Douglas, yeah, he was still intimidating guys, but the Evander Holyfields and the Lennox Lewises of the world weren't scared of that anymore because they seen your blood, your nose bloody. You know what I mean? And they know that they can hit you too. And that's exactly how I felt with LSU this weekend, with a coach that was looking for revenge against Bama, especially after getting his clock cleaned in the national championship over a decade ago by this same Nick Saban team. Not the same players, but it was Alabama. And then you had a big loss to a team that hates you that really hates you. And they went ahead and took care of their business when they needed to. And that was huge. So, all in all, I think Alabama got a lot of love. They didn't lose any ground when they lost their first game. This time around, they came in, they were 6 outside looking in. I thought that they were trying to prepare it to where Alabama would re-enter the group, and they did not. And so pretty much Alabama should not be in the top 8 this week, but they will be. You know what I mean? They're not gonna make Alabama be 9 or 10. They have to keep Alabama as close as possible. So we have that. But I truly do think what happens this week when we do the CFP tomorrow, and I have my prediction for it, I think that Michigan does get in because they were already number 5. And what they do is they do the favor for Tennessee, and they don't kick Tennessee all the way out. Tennessee just goes to 4th. That's kind of like how they set it up. You know what I mean? And I think that Tennessee, if they win out, they'll try to figure out a way to get Tennessee in there because they have one loss. They don't have any more undefeated teams, even though TCU has literally, you had 2 top teams lose. Those 2 top teams need to be out the top 4. And TCU hasn't lost a game all season. Michigan hasn't lost a game all season. Common sense says those teams will be there, right? So we'll get to more and more about it tomorrow. But I don't like to say I told you so, but I told you so. Alabama goes down again for the second time this season. There should be no surprises there. And we move forward because this team just was playing. They were playing off a straight intimidation. And I think that things have caught up to them. All right. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Raiders and them blowing another lead, man. Raiders blow another lead, lose to Jags 27-20. Now are 2-6. Can this be fixed, or is the season a lost cause? Oh, well, if you look at the Raiders, man, they had one game where they got blown out. Now, I'm not going to keep – this is a broken record now. I'm not going to keep giving the Raiders the benefit of the doubt and saying that, it'll be better next week, because just at this point in time, the biggest problem for this team is their defense. And the biggest problem is the offense need to get touchdowns and not field goals. Derek Carr has been getting some great drives lately. He looked really good yesterday in the first half. Devontae Adams had 9 catches already, 150 yards going into the second half. You thought that he was going to have a 20-catch day. Derek Carr might throw for 400 yards. All that got stagnant. And you kind of had the feeling that this will possibly happen because Jacksonville has a much better defense than they showed in the first half. And that defense did show up. The Raiders wound up getting literally shut out, 24-0 in the second half. The same exact game that happened last week in New Orleans. So the Raiders got a lot of questions to answer this week. And they just got to get guys healthy in a sense as well, too, in my opinion. They truly do need to get guys healthy. And Darren Waller needs to figure out when he wants to play football again, because he's having hamstring issues, but he doesn't have any issues making public appearances, though. So my thing is like this. The Raiders are getting kind of played by these guys that they're paying a lot of money to. And I think that they really do need to scale things back a bit and really start paying guys that are going to contribute every week in and week out. I know injuries are inevitable. They're hard to avoid, but sometimes when you have players that are just blatantly doing things, in the public eye. It gives the fans and talking heads and critics a perception that these people don't really care. We know they do. We know they do. But I just truly do feel like the Raiders have been wasting a lot of time this year with guys that just aren't fitting anymore. And I think that they should have took a better advantage of the trade deadline, because I think there's some people that just got to get out that locker room, you know? And truly the Raiders, if they finished most of these games the Raiders are 6-2 right now. So I know Raider fans, it's just a big, Raider fans, I feel for you. I know that every week the Raider Nation talks the biggest crap out of all fan bases, are always ready for a fight, and then the Raiders pull this, man, it'd be all quiet on the Western Front come 1:00 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Or I'm quitting this team. So Raiders, y'all got to step it up. Y'all got to get yourself a win next week. We'll get more into it as the week progresses. We have NFL Bet Exchange coming up tomorrow. So me and Jeff will have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about with that as well, too. So be tuned in for that. And I'll get into more NFL tomorrow when we do NFL Bet Exchange as well. So you guys be ready for that. And pretty much, man, Raiders got to get your act together. 2-6 going into week 10. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward from that and move on to tonight's Monday Night Football. Is you ready for a party? You got the Ravens and the Saints tonight. The Saints coming into this game as the home team. Saints are a home dog as well, too. And they was a home dog last week. And that, to me, is a very, very good situation. You know what I mean? But you got a Baltimore team coming in here firing red hot. Baltimore has actually won their last 3 out of 5, including their 2 in a row, 2 good wins as well, too, beating the Browns, a division opponent, and then also beating surprising the Bucks as well too on Thursday Night Football. So you have a team that they've had some hiccups here, but it's okay. They still have Lamar Jackson, one of the best players in the league. Period. Point blank. They're 5th in scoring right now as well too, and also they are 2nd in rush yards per game as well. They 6th in interceptions, and you have Lamar Jackson having another great year, 553 yards rushing and 1,635 through the air. So the guy is just he's really a godsend for this Ravens team, to be exact. And then the only thing about tonight is, though, for him, he's going to be without Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is dealing with a injury right now, and I think that will be a little key, but that's going to open it up for other guys tonight as well, too. That'll open it up for Devernay. That'll open it up for Bateman as well, too. And I know what their game plan is going to be. It's going to be about the running. But one thing that they will have to fix is they're going to have to figure out how they're going to get a real cowbell running back. They wanted that to be J.K. Dobbins, but it seems like they got 4 running backs by committee right now. Kenyon Drake, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins actually got hurt a few weeks back. So he's out for a bit, but he should be back at some point this season. But he's out at this. From what I remember, he was out. And I'm looking at the numbers now. We haven't seen anything from him since the Giants, but they're not saying anything. But I know he's out, So, and I'm looking at the scouting report now. Actually, Dobbins is back. I'm sorry. It's Edwards who's having the issues with the leg and everything like that. So, I do feel that this game tonight is one that the Saints got to have, and the Ravens are in a good spot because, once again, everything comes down to their division. And this game is good for New Orleans because they can start making a move at the top of their division. I think that they're going to be a much better team here in their next 8 games to close out the year, and their next actually 9 games to close out the year. And I think that should be very helpful moving forward as well, too, on exactly what this playoff picture is going to look like. They got Baltimore tonight, and then they have Pittsburgh next week. And then they play the Rams, and then back-to-back road games, San Francisco, then they travel to Tampa. Then in the month of December, the meaty part of December, they have 2 more road games in Cleveland and Philadelphia, and then 2 divisional games, one in Atlanta, one against Atlanta, one against Carolina. Both those games will be in New Orleans. So they do have the advantage where they have the last 2 out of 3 divisional games in New Orleans. So we'll see how this one shapes up, but I do like the Saints in this spot tonight. I think that Andy Dalton, he sees who's on the other side, and he always gave the Ravens some issues as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into some hoops. We got college basketball starting back today. We got the state of the Lakers as well, too. And also, we got NBA Monday night. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And we do have ourselves Tip Off Monday. 200 games will be played in one day. Unbelievable. And from what I can see, the Bruins are number 8 in the nation right now, and they are bringing back Tyga Campbell this year as well, too. And they also have Jaime Jaquez back as well. And I know Singleton's back. I know a lot of the guys who were part of that Final Four squad are back. You know what I mean? I know Johnny Juzanga isn't there, the top player. And we all know that the freshman from Long Beach left as well, too. Even though he didn't do much, he still left because he felt that he had to go now because it wouldn't be the same if he would have stayed. I was like, dude, you would have been a top 10 pick if you would have stayed at UCLA. Now you got drafted in the first round, but, dude, you got to play in the G League and then hope you get to the next level. You know what I mean? Because it's not that easy, man. Like, they'll try to develop you in the G League, but that doesn't mean you're going to get into the league, dude. You know what I mean? And I would take that as a big slap in the face, is that I leave college and then you want to put me in the G League. Oh, I just want to get paid, even though you guys are already getting paid a little bit now with the NIL and everything. But it's all good. He probably would have been a transfer portal guy anyway. I wasn't that impressed, and I don't think that running to the NBA is going to be helpful for you either. But hey, these guys take advice from guys that feel they know best, but everybody's just chasing that dollar. You know what I mean? That's all they're doing. And nothing's wrong with that, but that's just the game. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But all in all, though, you got Duke coming back is one of the usual suspects. Then you have Kentucky as well too. You know that they always have great recruiting classes in that group. And then you have Kansas that's having some issues here to start out the season. Bill Self is suspended for the first 4 games of the season. That could be critical. You got Michigan State who's playing today as well. That should be a team that you have a good eye on as well. And then you have Ohio State, a team that figures out how to be really good during the regular season, but they're kind of choke artists during the off season, you know. And you have a team that a lot of people don't talk about, but they really good, and they have a lot of really good players coming in this year is USC. And then you have Gonzaga up north, where they're now starting to become a perennial power each year and year out, where they can bring in stud 5-star players and everything like that. So that's helpful. And they're looking at going to the Big 12 right now as well too. So you have a lot of good teams. You got a lot of good options. Then you have the Big East that's very deep this year once again. And now you don't have Jay Wright there at Villanova, so you don't have a landlord anymore. You have it to where it's back to being like the old Big East, and you just really have a wide open league right now that should be able to play up to the standard of great basketball as well too. You know what I mean? So all in all, I look forward to the day. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. I got 2 tickets for you in college basketball. We got the Bailout PK4 today, and we also got the Dirty Dozen jackpot for you as well. So be ready for that, and we'll just go from there. But with that, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into one of my favorite topics, and that's going to be state of the Lakers. And the Lakers yesterday wound up losing by 14 to LeBron's first team and his third team, because he's been on 3 teams, but first team he did 2 stints with. Okay, so LeBron is really kind of, I guess, regret now that he should have stayed in Cleveland, in my opinion. I think that would have been the best bet for LeBron, staying in Cleveland, because, dude, it's not working here in LA. But yesterday was a good game for the squad. You know what I mean? In it for Cleveland, they showed a team that had a lot of different looks to them. They showed a team that didn't get too excited when they went on a run. They showed a team that it wants to be better than just the 4th or 3rd seed. They look like they want to win the whole damn thing. They got a lot of really good players, but I know they're still a team on the up and up, but they got a lot of really good players from all those trades that they made as well too. You know what I mean? And Donovan Mitchell, very, very much worth the ticket that he was traded for. Then you have Garland, who's exceptional into that role. And then you got my man, Mr. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley had a great game yesterday as well too. And then Jared Allen is just so key to everything that they do, showing that the big man has not gone anywhere. As long as the big man gets his looks and gets his touches, he'll be fine. It's not just an outside game. You know what I mean? And that's why the Cavs are really good defensively, and they're really good offensively, because they play an old school style of basketball. And that old school style of basketball is something that can be something that can interrupt this evolution of pulling up on a 4-on-1 break and shooting a 3. I think that seriously, once the Warriors situation comes to a head, that won't be the way anymore. I think that Steph Curry made it really cool to do that, but coaches still do cringe when guys do that at the end of the day. And it's given a false perception on everybody needing to have a jump shot to be a quality player. You know what I mean? That's not true. So the Lakers, let's get down to the Lakers, though. The Lakers, all in all, they got to be better. And I'm looking at the numbers from last night, and the Lakers I don't know what it is, but they just can't finish. They had a great first half. They had great moments in the third quarter, and then they just got ran out the gym after a while. You know what I mean? They were up 64-51 at the half, right? They were up 64-58 at the half. Okay. They scored 36 points in the first quarter, and then they scored 28. So they scored 64 points in the first half. The Lakers wound up scoring 36 in the second half. That's not going to work, dude. That's not going to work. And then they go around and go out and get outscored 56 to 36. So they got outscored by 20 points, lose by 14, was up 6 at the half. So that was a 26 point switch. All right. And the Lakers literally had nothing for them at the end of the day. And, LeBron had a big game because it was the Cavs. And AD's been doing a good job on the rebounding end. And Westbrook had 10 assists, but he had 7 turnovers as well, too. So I'm looking at the stats, and I say to myself, damn, you got 33 from Mitchell. You got 24 from Garland, and Jared Allen poured in 16, 11 on you last night. And Karis LeVert got 12. And then, just ho-hum, Kevin Love gets 10 off the bench. And he only played 20 minutes last night. So, that goes to show you that, the Lakers it's rough right now. And then the Lakers get 19 from AD, 27 from LeBron, and they got 19 from Westbrook. And then they also got Troy Brown had a dozen. He's starting to get into the mix a little bit better, and he's starting to be real tolerable. I like the way that he's moving it right now as well, too. So I think that we're on to some really good things right now when it comes to the Lakers, but they got to put it together the right way, though. I think, man, at the end of the day, this is starting to become a real, like, what are we doing here? And I know I'll get more into State of the Lakers tomorrow. It's Monday. So, it's the top of the week. So it's still much to devolve in. And I don't want to sit on the Lakers all day. So I think that the Lakers just really need to sit down and tell themselves, we're not going to win a title this year. And we could be doing a disservice to AD and LeBron at the state that we're in right now. Maybe we might not want to do the Kobe farewell all over again. We might want to just say to ourselves, let's go ahead, pack these guys up, and get us some draft picks and start rebuilding and put the Lakers back. And the Lakers just might have to just go back to being winning 20 games a year for the next few years, because right now this is just a big disappointment to the fans, big disappointment to the vendors, everybody who's just involved with the Lakers. It's just a big disappointment. When you see Jeannie Buss getting excited and the team is still down 10 points in a game and she's going crazy, like, off of just breakaway dunks and things like that, but not actually winning the game, that's serious. That's a serious problem. I know it's almost like clown stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, what are the Lakers doing? It reminded me of those old Clipper games that used to be on Channel 5. So, it's just no. The Lakers got to get it together, and they gotta figure out how much longer are we going to do this. You know what I mean? So there it is. I could talk about the Lakers all day, but we move on and let's talk about what's going on in the NBA for tonight. And we got a whole bunch of really good games going on as well too. NBA Monday night. We got the Blazers. I mean, not the Blazers, but the Pelicans and the Pacers tonight. You got two of the highest scoring teams in the league. Pelicans got out to a great start, but now they're 5-4. They've been going through the motions a little bit. Pacers got off to a terrible start. Now they've been playing much better basketball. Pacers come in here as the dog tonight as well too. And since both these teams score, I do like the way that the over is looking in this spot. And so when I sit down here and put the game together, 2 and 2 together on this game, you got a Pelicans team, as I said before, they started off well, but they've lost their last 3 out of 5. So you guys know that pretty much they were slicing teams up to start this year off, and then they just haven't looked good. They got a good win over the Warriors the other night, but then came back around and lost by 3 to the Hawks. So it seems like they're keeping games really close, but they just not finishing. And you have a Pacers team, as I said before, have won their last 3 out of 5, including their last game at home as well too, where they beat Miami by 6. So you take that momentum into tonight's game. You have a team that's fifth in scoring going against a team that's second in scoring. And one thing, though, is working in the Pelicans' favor is that they're pretty good when it comes to field goal percentage. They're 48% on the season, but the Pacers are almost at 80% when it comes to free throws. So they kind of even things out. And then you have the Pacers, who are sixth in the league when it comes to three-point shots made as well, too. So, you got two teams that score. You got two teams that can shoot. So this is going to be a really good game. And these type of games always call for betting the over, even though, and when you look at the number being 235, and the number is coming down, because I think people have this idea that it's Monday and it might be one of those games where they all kind of get locked up a little bit and fall short. I don't think so. Neither one of these teams are playing great defense, and I think that's going to show up tonight as well, too. All right, so we have ourselves which would be the game of the night if we have more going on with it. But you got a Sixers team that's coming in here 4-6, and you got the Suns in here, one of the better teams in the NBA, at 7-2. They are 2-1 for the month of November and had won 4 in a row coming in. Actually, they had won 6 in a row coming in, and then got lost by 2 to Portland, but came back around and beat Portland by 20 on Saturday night. So they're in Philly tonight, and this starts a 4-game road trip as well, too. So tonight it's Philly, tomorrow it's Minnesota, Wednesday it's Minnesota, then it's Orlando on Friday, then Monday they are in Miami, and then they go back home to play against Golden State. So they have a very, I would say, tough schedule because they got to travel this week. So, they want to start off on the good foot. Then you have this Sixers team that started the season off 0-3. Now they're 4-3 since that point. So they did pretty good because they started off 0-3. Then they were able to get a win, lost again, 1-3 in a row, and have lost their last 2 in a row. Now, they are without their stars. Embiid didn't play in the last game, and Harden's out for the next month. They didn't lose by that much to the Knicks. They were at home. I think that tonight they know that this is more of a super elite team, so they're going to bring their A game. So this is a good spot for the Sixers tonight. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Suns at Sixers, always a really good game, and I look forward to this one as well, too. All right, so we move forward, and we have ourselves the Hawks and the Bucks tonight. This game is going to be in Atlanta, and you have the Hawks being okay. You have the Bucks. Okay. All right, so you got the Bucks 9-0, and you got the Hawks 6-3, and the Hawks are plus 4.5 for the game tonight. So you got a 226.5 over under, and then you have yourself a Bucks team that's 9-0. Bucks are playing perfect, great basketball this year, and I truly do think that this one will wind up being a very fun situation to where we have to look at this and say to ourselves, hey, we got an undefeated team tonight. The Bucks are playing good basketball. This is going to probably be a spot where you'll have a lot of bettors say, well, tonight's the night that they lose. I don't think so. The Hawks aren't playing really good basketball to start this year off. Even though they're 6-3, they haven't been playing good against the top tier teams. They've been feasting on the bad teams. So, the over-under 226.5. Bucks have a good number on them tonight. They could be a money line play for you as well, too. But I truly do think that they got enough to win this game by 5 or better. So we'll see how this one shapes up and shakes out. But that's what we have here with the Hawks and the Bucks. So it should be a fun one tonight and one of the better games in the NBA tonight. All right. And then we have the Mavs versus the Nets. And that's going to be a very, very – this is an intriguing matchup. You got the Nets at home 5-3. You got the Nets 4-6. And then you got 5.5 on the spread. You got an over-under 216.5 tonight as well. I know a lot of people probably will have the Nets counted out because no Kyrie, but they're playing much better basketball without Kyrie and without that distraction being in their locker room. I think KD is is out for revenge on the whole everything. So KD's been having some good nights. They got a good win over the Hornets the other night. I think that they bounce back in this one and get another good win and get there and start streaking a bit, because they have won 2 in a row and they look to win a third game in a row. So then they can kind of get that sour taste out their mouths. The Mavs been playing great basketball all year long, playing great defense. Very tough to beat at home. Luka's averaging almost 40 points a game. So this is going to be a tough task for the Nets. But I still think, though, when it's all said and done tonight, that this will probably be the game of the night in the NBA, because the stars that are going to be involved, KD versus Luka, it should be something very memorable tonight. So we'll see how it goes and see how it checks out. Then we finish up with the stars of last night with the Clippers and the Cavs. Clippers played the late game at Staples last night, while the Cavs played the early game. So, the Clippers lost again, and the Cavs look to try to, get themselves another great win. They're 8-1 right now, looking to be 9-1 here in their first 10 games. They looked really good against the Lakers yesterday. The Clippers, I don't know what the Clippers bring to the table, but the Clippers have not been good against teams with winning records this year, or against teams that just have their number. They lost to Oklahoma City twice, and they also barely beat Houston in both of those spots. So that's why they're sitting up in here with a 5-3 record right now. But all in all, they have not been playing good basketball this season. I think that this is another game for the Cavs to try to prove themselves, but they shouldn't get too cute here in this spot, because this one right here could be a game that winds up being something that gets them in a little trouble if they get a little too cute here. I think that the Cavs have to play with the underdog mentality, and that should work out very well for them, because the Clippers are just, at this point, they're not going to be much until Kawhi gets there. So Cavs at Clippers, this should be another good one, and we'll see how this one shakes out and see how it shapes up, and we'll go from there. So pretty much with that, we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break, and when I get back, we'll go ahead and get into Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. So we have ourselves some talking tickets to do today, and it is what it is. And pretty much we're talking tickets. We have ourselves the jackpot today. We got plus 11.5 on Brown. We got plus 20 on Columbia. We got Duke in here with the 15.5. We got Marshall with the minus 4.5. Morehead State plus 24.5. We got NJIT +8. Then we got Akron -165. We got Winthrop with the +12.5. Then we have Princeton with the -135. Then we have Ohio State with the +205. Syracuse with the -17, and then we finish up with Memphis with the -160. All right, then we got tickets for the people that need the bailout at the end of the night, and this is a West Coast ticket. Most of these games start at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern time, so these are the late games tonight. I do have LIU Brooklyn +22.5 in Salt Lake City tonight. Then you got Weber State playing in Seattle. I have them covering against the Huskies of Washington, and then I have UCLA with the -25 tonight going against Sacramento State in their usual play against the local teams the first dozen games or so. So pretty much they're playing against Sacramento the State, a team from up north, Big Sky representative. And then you have Tulsa +135 tonight, and probably the most evenly matched game of the day against Oregon State. So that should be pretty good as well too. And that's another dog for you. And there's some seasoning for you at 15-1. So there it is. There it is. And if you put $1 on the jackpot and hit it, it's $2,400. You know what I mean? So just know that you put 5 on it, you put 5 on it, dog, you're getting 12 bands. That's nuts. That's nuts for a dozen play. So it ain't like we making up a ticket or anything like that, showing it on FanDuel or something. This is a real ticket. So we'll see how it goes, see how it shakes out. Hopefully we can hit that jackpot. Hopefully we get that bailout later on tonight. All right, so then we have ourselves the super high 35-1 with the Pelicans and Pacers over 234. We have the Rockets at +170. Then we have the Bucks at -4. Then we have the Blazers at Blazers +8 tonight. And then we have the under 216.5 with the Nets and the Mavs. This is going to be a 35-1 ticket right here. And I feel good about this one as well, too. So let's see how it shapes up and shakes out. And there it is. Super high 35-1. And then we finish up with the Ravens and Saints Monday Night Football bets. The Saints money line +115, the over 23 first half. And then we have the Saints with the +0.5 point in the first quarter. And then we had the Saints over 23 team total. And that's going to be our talking tickets for today. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Premier Sports Betting Show. I know that it's Monday, and I know that it's kind of a one of them days today. So I know probably you guys just got to chill out, get you some coffee, tea, some hot cocoa, things like that, because it's kind of chilly today. You know what I mean? And keep your attitude right, because these cold days will make you miserable. So it is what it is at the end of the day. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have NFL Bet Exchange for you guys. Also, if there's time in the day, that we will be doing the PrimeTime Angles as well, too. And then I also have Sweet Science for you guys tomorrow as well. Going to be talking to Rajon Chance, who's a very good boxer at super bantamweight, 7-0-1 right now. And he just recently fought in Jersey on a PBC card as well too. So you guys, it's going to be really exciting because he's somebody who's a pretty known within big circles in boxing as well too. So I look forward to that tomorrow as well. So you guys are the absolute best. I'll be back at you tomorrow. And you guys, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is movement, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.